Welcome back, everyone, to the kitchen and to the Forging Agreement podcast. My name's Lisa, and sitting across from me is my dear friend and colleague, John Worthington. So in the last episode in the Practicality of Spirit series, we discussed harmony function. So today we're going to go to the next function, which is do. And before we begin, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that notification button, and also share, comment, all that good stuff. All right, here we go. All right, so where I'd like to open this discussion is with the idea that harmony function is a command to do. So what does that mean exactly?
Well, first of all, you have to kind of understand do function. That do function is a result of the communication of information. That's how things get done. Okay. You can see that at work in the Congress and in the Senate sometimes.
Well, sometimes.
Not over voting rights, or not over anything that Mitch McConnell doesn't think is appropriate, but you can see it at times. Because there's a communication and then there's something that gets done. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that the thing that they do there with that communication affects everybody in the country at one level or the other. Mm-hmm. So that's on the macro version of it. Okay. But the same thing applies to, anybody that is in any kind of a relationship. A communication will result in something that's being done. It can be as simple as a little kid next door saying, "Hey, can I cut your grass?" And you say, "Yeah, how much you charge me?" He says, "I get $10." And you say, "Okay, cool, do it."
Okay. Right. So that would be grass would be getting cut. So it's getting done.
Right.
Okay.
It could be more complicated, like, gee, this year I think I'll plant some rutabagas in the garden. I wish that you wouldn't plant rutabagas in the garden. Why don't you just plant some more tomatoes, because we'll eat them.
Okay.
Generally, you see it in places like, what kind of car are they going to drive? What kind of house are they going to live in? And you can see that kind of thing in terms of it being a harmony between the two people. Okay, because without that harmony, there cannot be a communication of information, because communication of information indicates that there is an exchange of information. You can't exchange information with yourself.
No, you cannot.
Okay. You need to have somebody else to exchange information.
Right, and it's like that back and forth. And
that's what's required.
Yep.
So harmony is demanded by do function.
Right, because you have to be in harmony so that you could even have the communication of information, so you can get to do function.
That's right. And so therefore, because communication requires more than self, we could say that do function is a supra-self metaprogram. It's a metaprogram that is more than self. That's required. Whenever you talk about something that's more than self, then you have to think about it in terms of it being a spirit-based concept.
Right.
Simply because it's more than self.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, do function is a funny thing, because it's being at one is set. Okay, you can't move around being at one. It's fixed in space and time. Harmony can't be moved around. It's either harmonious or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, And harmony also requires more than one. It requires more than a single person. So therefore, it is a supra-self metaprogram, more than self metaprogram. So when we get to do function, we're talking about something that can be much more than self. For instance, the building of a bridge requires many agreements.
True.
Okay, it requires many conversations, many exchanges of information. So when we're talking about do function, then harmony must in fact be in place, or do function isn't going to take place at all. And it doesn't really make any difference about what you do. If you work for somebody, you have to be in agreement with them. They have to say, this is what I want done. And you say, well, I can or cannot do that, or I will or will not do that. Mm-hmm. In a relationship, you say, okay, for better or worse, et cetera, for death do us part, et cetera. And then you go to the divorce lawyer and there's another communication, okay?
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Okay, so, and that you were funning about the death do us part thing. Unless you're ready to kill a bitch. So anyway, that's the reason why harmony is commanded by do function. It's commanded. Without it, it can't. Do function can't exist.
Right. You can't get to the next.
That's right.
The next step.
Okay.
Okay. So then, like you were saying that because do function is more than self, it's that super self metaprogram.
Right.
Right. And another thing that I know we had talked about is that idea that spirit is always looking to create reality.
Right. This is something that most people just ignore. And you ignore it at your own risk, I think.
Yeah. True.
Because let's assume that there is such a thing as spirit that is more than self as an entity. Okay, if you assume that to be true for just a moment, and it doesn't have to necessarily be treated as true, but if you use it as a catalyst, it works very well.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so
yes, it does.
Okay, so if you think about spirit from that perspective, then you say, okay, what is spirit actually trying to accomplish here on this plane? Well, the easiest and probably therefore the best explanation would go something like, it's trying to create reality, because every exchange of information, every do, does exactly that. It creates reality. It can be chaos, it can be hate and despair and all kinds of goodies,
Mm-hmm.
but it's going to create a reality. Something real is going to come out of that.
Right. So then if we look at communication, that exchange of information, any communication you engage in is having that awareness of what reality are you actually looking to create.
Right. Well, you're going to create a reality whether you looked for it or not.
True.
Okay.
Right. Yes.
All right. I saw a video clip, I don't know, a day or so ago about some Karen in a store that was talking to the manager about not having any balls, and that he was a baby and so forth, because he was saying, look, put on a mask. There's other people here, we don't know you. Put a mask on. We don't know if you got COVID. We don't know if you've been vaccinated. Mm-hmm. We don't know anything about you. So put a mask on, please. And so the lady got all huffy about it and stomped around and so forth. Well, what did she create? Well, she didn't create an environment where she could do what she wished.
Yeah.
What she created was a reality where she wasn't very welcome. It wasn't a good thing for her or for anybody else. And so rather than just taking a shot in the arm, she said, okay, no, you can't make me do this. Well, no, I can't. I don't want to make you do this. I want you to do it because you want to.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't want to, then, there are things that I don't want either. And the manager was saying, well, it's okay. You don't have to. But if you're going to come in my store, you're going to, if you don't have a mask on, and I don't want you in my store. It's that simple. You don't want to take a shot in the arm. I don't want you in my store. It's okay. Go shop someplace else where they let you do that. Well, the lady was, I think her name was Karen.
Highly likely.
So what she created was chaos.
Yeah.
Okay, for herself.
Yep.
She thought she was going to force this guy, I guess, or force the store to change its rules, or force everybody else in the store that was wearing a mask to take them off. I don't know what she was trying to do. But she didn't accomplish that, but she accomplished something. And so did the guy. The guy got her out of the store.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So that's like in our day-to-day life, and like again, it's like all of these. This whole series is called Practicality of the Spirit.
Yes.
And this is like where that practicality lives.
Exactly. And so if the lady understood the practicality of what she was talking about, what's practical about making everybody else have to dance to your tune?
No.
Well, that's not practical.
No.
It doesn't even work.
No.
It's so impractical.
And it's certainly not harmonious.
No, it isn't. And so therefore the reality which is created has to be harmonious. So it's harmonious with what? It's going to be harmonious with that kind of selfishness.
Ah, that's interesting.
Or self-centeredness, if you prefer.
Yeah. Would you like just pick one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's not. It doesn't mean that Karen is a bad person. She's not. She's probably a very sweet, grandmotherly type of lady. But she's got it in her head that everybody else has got to dance to her tune. They don't.
No.
They just don't. So that's unfortunate that she thinks that she's so special, because we can't share her. We can't share her knowledge, because what she's exhibiting isn't knowledge. It's selfishness, or it's self-centeredness, or it's it's something along those lines. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's self-importance, perhaps. I'm more important than the rest of the entire world. My opinion counts. Do you know anything about it? No, I don't know anything about this at all. But I've decided that vaccines are bad for me. Well, how did you decide that? You talked to somebody you read something on Facebook. Yeah.
Well, now.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. You have a whole group of people that share that same disinformation on Facebook. Yeah, that's good. Well, that doesn't really get you in the store, does it? You have to go shop someplace else. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's too, because be one harmony and do all work in tandem.
Right.
And it's like looking at that, and it's just, there's no harmony. There's no harmony with the community, with the people that are around her. It's like this, she's not even, as this example we're using, not considering anyone else outside of her.
Right. So there isn't any more than self for her.
Right.
Okay.
There's a denial of more than self.
Right. Now, in a relationship of any variety, there must in fact be an acceptance or a submission to more than self. Yeah. If there isn't, then how is there going to be a communication or exchange of information? In other words, I have to submit to listening to what you have to say. I don't have to agree with it, but I have to submit to listening to it, so that I can, because then you say, well, this is why. Well, wait a second. How do you know that? Well, if you know that, then what's your sources? How did you come to that information?
Right, lay it out.
Yeah. Tell me how it is. So convince me. In other words, okay. I can see that you're passionate about it, but I'm not buying it just because you're passionate about it. No, I can't that's not sufficient. I need to know how you know about this. That way I can know how I know about it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's also part of harmony. When a scientist or an archaeologist or a doctor or anybody who's doing some kind of research, the way that they know that their research is real is that somebody else can do that same experiment and come up with the same results. If somebody else does the experiment and they come up with different results, then something's screwy. We have to find out what. So somebody else has to then do the experiment, and they have to keep on doing it until there's a consensus about what that experiment actually provides. It's a good thing to do. Now, at times it's silly stuff like, well, like, why is it all over the world there are these big stones that have double cuts on them? And they're enormous big stones, and they have these places for metal locking pieces that hold the stones together. The metal pieces have long since rusted away or rotted away or whatever, but there they are, and they're all over the world. Well, where did they come from? The Inca didn't do that. Okay, the Inca stonework is, well, it's rather primitive in comparison, and it will fall down rather easily. But those big stones like that do not fall down. They've been there for centuries and centuries. So who did those things really? Well, an archaeologist can't come along and say that he thinks that a race of giants did it, for instance.
Right.
The reason why he can't say that is because he can't prove that to be true. He can't provide any proof that that's so. He can think that. He can say, in my opinion, that's what I think, but I'm not going to write that up in my paper because I just don't have any proof for it.
Right. There's no way to prove that.
Right. Well, I think that's necessary reality for lots of things for us. Okay, and so when we exchange information, it has to be actual information. That's the reason why something can be done, because everybody can believe that the information that they're using is real, that they're talking about real things. You see, you can't agree to a fantasy. How are you going to make that real?
Can't.
Maybe in Hollywood.
Well, yeah, there,
but even there, that fantasy that they make real is still going to be a fantasy.
Yeah,
this doesn't reflect actual real life.
Right.
It reflects the life in movies. And
right,
that's always a story. Yeah. It's always a fantasy.
Yeah.
Okay. No matter how realistic or no matter how it affects you, it's still a fantasy. It's somebody's idea about how to portray reality.
Interesting. Oh, I mean, and just like a side note too, thinking about that, the really strange part is because they construct these fantasy worlds about the way, people should behave or what to do or what to look like, that actually has an influence on society.
Of course it does, because we forget that it's a fantasy.
Yeah. So
we think, I went to the movies and it was so real. Oh, it just jumped right off the screen at me. It was in 3D. Had to wear funny glasses, It was so real. And the sound was really loud.
Really good. Dolby. Stereo.
Right. So that's the thing, is it's so real that we deal with it as though it's real, even though we know that it isn't. Okay.
Yeah.
We can do the same thing with a novel.
Ah, good example.
Some people even try to do that with such things as pornography. That's not real.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that people don't treat it as though it could be or it should be real for them.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's like so many things like that. And it's like, you get that in your head and then you find out, wait a minute, it doesn't really work like this.
Okay, so can you pick an agreement with somebody like that?
No.
Well, you can. You can
Well,
do that, but what's going to be built out of it's going to be a fantasy.
Fantasy, which isn't sustainable in any way, shape, or
It can't
form.
be sustained, right? Okay, so when we look at that in terms of the Republican Party, okay,
Yeah.
how is it going to be sustained that Donald Trump won an election that he didn't? The numbers just don't support that he won. I don't care what he says. I don't care what his stooges say. I don't care what anything's, nothing about it. The fact of the matter is that the man did not win the election. He can go to Arizona and yell about it all he wants to. No, he didn't win the election.
No.
What Mike Lindell can get on there and say it's cancel culture because my bank doesn't want to be involved with my silly stuff. They're trying to cancel me. Well, yeah, they are. Duh. Wake up, Bubba.
Dude, come on back down, put your feet on the ground here for a little bit. You know?
Yeah, but I spent so much money on this fantasy, and it still isn't real. But I'm going to have the proof for you next Thursday.
Yeah.
I think in his previous life, his name was Blimpy.
God. But that's the thing too. It's like that's another like dead giveaway that they're living in some fantasy world, because they'll say, you know, I have this information. I have it. The judge asked for it. Well, I'll have it in such and such a time. Yeah. Such and such a time comes. It's like, nope, I need a little bit longer to get that. Yeah. And on and on and on.
My dog ate my homework.
Exactly.
The same kind of thing with this bunch hanging out in Dallas waiting for JFK to show back up. What, in a black limousine? He's going to drive. Poof! It's going to be a big vortex opens up on there in front of what's left of the books depository, and there he's going to be. I don't think so.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the all the conspiracy theory things out there. It's like none of it's based in anything that's real. It's like somebody has an idea and it just.
Well, what was Herschel Walker the other day said he has a dry mist that's going to just take your COVID away. I mean,
we'll spray you down.
Yeah, and then when you leave the building, you'll leave your COVID behind. Okay. What the fuck I wanted in my building for?
Yeah, wasn't that Rachel Maddow? I mean, she was having a hard time keeping a straight face talking about it.
Well, anybody that thinks about it's going to have a straight face.
He's like, yeah.
He's going to run for Senate. Now, I don't think the people of Georgia is that damn stupid. No, they're not. They're not that. They're just not that stupid.
No.
I don't care if they did elect Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, I think those good old boys that elected her kind of think she's cute.
Or something.
Yeah. She ain't doing nothing for them, but and they'll realize that pretty quick. They're not stupid boys. They're pretty smart old boys, and they're going to say, sweetness, you as cute as a button, you are, but you're not doing nothing for me here now. Sent you up there to get something done. You're not doing nothing. You just sit there talking trash. Let me see some of the stuff that you think you know here, girl.
Well, and then again, that's the thing is any of those things that like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Getz, I can't think of his first name at the moment. Matt. Yeah. Didn't want to remember that.
Well, you know what Matt's doing. He's trying to keep himself from being put in jail. He's trying to. He's thinking if he gets a big enough following, they won't put him in jail. But they're going to. But Al Capone had a big old following too. Yeah. So did Bonnie and Clyde. But they didn't live to tell about it.
Right. I mean, you think about the January 6th, and I mean the committee. It's like the walls are crumbling down here around them.
They are. We just, Jericho didn't fall the first time they went up around it. They had to blow their trumpet 7 times and go all around the city 7 times, and then it fell down. It must have been some awful trumpet playing. All I could take. The walls said, "Oh no more, just no more. Please stop."
But that's the thing, though. It's like it's like what's going on in the Republican Party, I mean, is a really great example because, yeah, are they, creating something, but what they're creating is crumbling to the ground.
Well, it's not inclusive.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, here's the thing. The Democratic Party is doing the same thing. They're being real judgmental about the people in the Republican Party.
That is true. Yes.
Okay. Now, you got to give it to the Democratic Party from the standpoint that what they're trying to accomplish is to include people, and the Republican Party is trying to exclude people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, of the two ideas, the one that's stronger is the including idea.
Right.
The excluding idea isn't as strong. We didn't learn from Germany in World War II. We think that we can do it better. We can't, because the fatal flaw is that it's not inclusive. It's exclusive, and those that are excluded are not going to be happy about being excluded. They're going to say, wait, no. Mm-hmm. The same thing happened with the French Revolution. That's the reason why it happened. That's the same thing that happened in the Mexican Revolution. Whenever there's a revolution, it's because people are not included, not because they are included.
Right.
You don't have revolutions because people are included. You have revolutions because they're not included.
Mm-hmm. That's
why we had a civil war. It was because we didn't include people. So there wasn't an exchange of information.
Right. Everybody they were in their own camps. One was here and one was here, and neither the twain was going to meet at that point.
So think about this. The entire Oath Keepers idea is based on the idea that, it started when Barack Obama became president. They said, okay, we can't have a black president. We can only have white presidents. Okay, when Trump came along, the Oath Keepers were all pro-government.
Right, because they were pushing.
When Biden comes along, they say, no, we're not pro-government anymore, because Biden's just a black guy in a white guy's suit. That's it. Well, that's not true either. What Biden's doing is he's saying, okay, good governance means that you include people, you don't exclude people.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. It's like that. They're pushing that white agenda.
Right. And so where's he running into problems with Manchin and Sinema?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And why? Because they're white. They can't include other people.
Wow. Where we are right now is there's trying to get the voting laws passed.
Right. And that's the reason, because the voting laws favor non-white people.
Yeah. Right. The states,
they're inclusive. They're not exclusive.
Right. And the states that put those restrictive voting laws in place, put them in place because of, they put them there to serve the white population.
The white population, that's right. As a matter of fact, one of the study that came out not long ago was that in the counties that sent people to the January 6th party down there in Washington, mm-hmm. There's something like 80 or 90%, there's some enormous percentage of people who come from counties where white people are the white population is in decline. And the other than white population is growing. And so they all had a similar complaint. And the complaint is that their white privilege was being taken away. Their white rights, in other words, is how they say it. Well, okay, maybe so, and maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, white privilege is so pervasive, and so,
well, it's a status quo,
right?
Okay, and has been since before the Civil War.
Yeah.
In other words, the founding fathers were pretty much white.
That's true.
Okay, and so they wrote the Constitution essentially for white people, even though the way they wrote it included other people who were not white.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hmm. So what does that do that's coming about there? What's being done about that? What agreement is actually being picked? What agreement is being made real?
I mean, it's interesting to think about, because like if our nation was primarily built on that white privilege.
Well, it was built on inclusion. Okay, it was built on the idea that in England, religious freedom was not allowed.
Okay, true. So because that's where that all began. Yep.
Okay, and it was under an authoritarian rule in England that the United States was built. So we want to have an authoritarian idea here? I don't think so. I think that's kind of anti what we're supposed to be doing.
Right. So that was a step. That's what they were able to, whereas now the United States didn't want to be under that authoritarian rule. They wanted a democracy.
Right. Okay. And that comes back down to this particular thing. An exchange of information must include metaprogramming entities. Because communication is an exchange of information between metaprogramming entities. And what does that actually mean? That means somebody who's aware enough of themselves to be able to say, and of their thinking, to be able to say, look, I can rewrite my code here so that I can deliberately have this metaprogram, this huge program that controls sets of programs active in my life. And I can write that and make that happen at will. Because that's going to do something in terms of my communication with other people. Mm-hmm. So if I come along and I say, okay, let's make a simple one. If you get bottled water, it's going to be safer than if you try to drink the water out of the tap here in Mexico. Mm-hmm. But you can go ahead and argue with me and say, well, where I come from, you can drink the water out of the tap.
I'm like, I'm good.
I'm going to drink it out of the tap. Well, okay, go ahead. You have diarrhea.
You throw it up every 5 minutes.
You are, huh? Well, I don't know why. You ought to try some bottled water, though. You're not going to spend money for water? Okay, well, don't do it then. I agree, don't do that. Okay. Now, you can see this is here. Well, here's the thing. You can either take that communication and rewrite your programming.
Yep.
And say, okay, if I'm going to drink water, I'm going to buy some bottled water that's been purified and sanctified, or whatever water is, and I'm going to get a little pump so I can pump it out of there, so I don't have to dig up the big old thing and dump it in my coffee. I'm going to do it different. I'm going to make it easier. I'm going to adjust to bottled water.
Right.
Okay. I remember one time a guy I was sitting in the coffee shop in Ajijic. And this guy came up on his motorcycle, and he came in, he got some coffee and a donut. He went out, sat down. He started complaining bitterly. He said, I went over to Chapala yesterday. He said, there was a cop over there. He said, that cop was on a motorcycle, and he had somebody else behind him, and he wasn't wearing a helmet. But he pulled me over, and he gave me a ticket for not wearing a helmet. Well, I don't want to wear a helmet. I argued with him. I told him that he wasn't wearing a helmet. Why should I? And he gave me a ticket. Yeah. And so I kind of looked at the guy and said, so you're going to go back over to Chapala today without your helmet? And he said, yeah. He said, that's not right. I said, okay. Well, they're going to find you again, and they're going to find you every time. They're going to look for you now. So he said, well, that's not okay. I thought, and he started yelling at him, jumped up and down. And he went over, and he didn't wear his helmet. They gave him a ticket. I saw him a few days later, asked him how it went. He said, they gave me another damn ticket. I said, well, I don't know why they do such a thing. It's against the law for you to ride that motorcycle over there because they got to talk to other people. They got to talk to people here that don't understand that. They got to talk to moms and kids and that kind of stuff. They're riding the motorcycles, little scooters and so forth without helmets, and they're not good drivers like you are. So, they got to talk to them. They're not talking to you. Well, he didn't like that. He said, well, why do they have to talk to them? They shouldn't have to use me for it. Well, he didn't understand that communication is a spiritual event. It's more than self.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So therefore he didn't understand that he had to do something he didn't want to.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't about him.
No, it wasn't actually.
It
It was about the safety of the population.
Right.
I mean, I've seen the people on those scooters that's got, there's a little kid hanging onto the handlebar, standing up on the scooter, and two more little kids in the back, and mom and dad on there too, and mom's holding the baby, and they're all going down the road and going to go to the store and buy something. And the cop steps and looks at him and say, you can't do that. Here, come pull over here. Where's your license? You don't have a license. Well, I'm not going to arrest you or anything. I'm not going to give you a ticket, but you can't be doing this. So baby's not okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. I know one of Federale, who does he's the guy who takes care of the roads in Mexico. One day after school, all the kids jumped in a pickup truck to go to another little pueblo away from the school. And they all jumped in the back of that pickup, and the guy drove the pickup, kind of run off the road a little bit and upset the pickup. Well, 2 or 3 of those kids didn't make it home. And a couple of other ones had broken arms and legs and fractured skulls and so forth. And the cop had seen him and let him go. And he had to go fish him out of the creek, as it were. Okay. Yeah. And he was torn up. He said, I was too nice. I let them do that thing. So his do wasn't what he thought it was. He didn't follow through with his specific function. He wasn't at one with himself. That is a more than self concept, you see. All right, do is always like that. And do is adjustable. You can adjust it closer to what you have to, what the rules say. You can let it slide a little bit, but it's a bet. You have to. He had to go explain it to his boss.
Right.
He sat at the desk for some time after that.
I bet.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing too, because you're talking about the do is movable, and you have B1's fixed and harmony's fixed.
Mm-hmm. But do can be adjusted. Okay, it depends on the communication.
Right.
In actual practice, it sounds like this: ask for forgiveness, not for permission.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that.
Okay, so I'm gonna do something I know that I need a permit for. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so I go ahead and I start doing it, and then the building inspector comes along and said, you need to have a permit for that. I do. Yeah, you do. Well, damn. Okay, I'll go down there in the morning and pay. No, you're not. You're going to close it down. Yeah, I know. I'll close it down right now, but I'll go in the morning because I need to go to the bank and get some money so I can go pay you for it. Okay, well, go do that. Well, now then I can go down there and say, well, I didn't know I had to do that, and maybe I can weasel my way down to paying less, because it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. If I ask for permission, they have to understand it first.
True.
Oh God! A government official trying to understand something that's not on that he has never seen before. No. You ask for permission for that. You don't ask for. You don't ask for permission for that. You ask for forgiveness.
Interesting. It's so true. So true. Okay.
Okay. So this is all related to how we do things. You see, because when we do things, we say stuff too. An action says lots more than what words say.
Right, because communication can be nonverbal.
That's right. Any of y'all who's ever had sex can understand this one. You did not learn because somebody explained it to you. You learned because you did it. all of you mamas and daddies that are afraid that your kids getting sex education, that ain't going to hurt them.
Yeah.
It's when they do it. That's when they become mamas and daddies too. Yeah. That's how you came about being a mom and daddy.
It's in the do. It's in the do. Yeah. Great example.
Okay.
Right. But that's the thing though, is watching watching their actions and not so much the words at times.
Right. One of the things that you can always tell about is the look on somebody's face, because they can't see it.
Yeah, right.
Nor can they see their body English either. Mm-hmm. You're talking to somebody and they go,
you what's going on.
They don't believe you.
It's like, so why are the arms crossed?
My arms crossed. I'm cold.
Yeah, bullshit. Bullshit. You crossed your arms when I said this thing to you.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, but that's a really easy one. But just watching people do that,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a lot of arms crossed right now too. A lot of people.
Really? That's great. Expression.
Okay, go ahead. What else you got over there?
Well, I think we covered a lot of this. I think the last thing I have is that idea of movement towards or movement away.
Oh yeah.
Which I just find, this is great.
Well, you're talking to somebody and you say, "What do you think about that?" And they say, "Well, I'll tell you what. How about if I talk to you about it tomorrow?" That's not movement toward. That is movement away. Okay. If you say, "Okay, how about we make some chairs between us here? What if we just start constructing chairs? Everybody needs to sit down, and chairs get broken, and there's always room for chairs." And the other person says, "Well, what kind of chair are you talking here?" That's not movement toward. That's movement away. If they say, "Oh yeah, that."
Yes, what you thinking? Let's get this down.
Damn, yeah. What a chair, huh? What kind of chair you got in mind?
Yeah,
that's a different idea than.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Chairs, there's lots of chairs, man. I don't know. Mm-hmm. How much does that cost?
Yeah, right. And that's you're kind of staying over on your little side over here.
There's not movement toward, there's movement away.
Movement away. Right. And I mean, in my own experience here with this one, and it's just like, fuck. I mean, it's like when you start paying attention to that.
Yes.
I mean, that makes a huge difference.
Right. Well, because what are you doing with that communication?
Yeah.
Are you moving toward the agreement or are you moving away from the agreement?
What's the reality you're trying to create here?
That's right. What are you trying to create that reality, or are you trying to not create that reality?
Yeah.
Okay. Movement away is trying not to. Okay.
Right. There's stuff. Yeah.
Okay. It's like that little story about the guy that says to the girl, can we go out? And she says, "Well, I can't go on Saturday because I have to go to quinceañera, or I have to go to a birthday party or something." And he says, "Well, how about next week?" And she says, "Well, any day except Tuesday." Well, if he wants to find out whether she's interested or not, he's going to say, "Well, how about Tuesday?" Mm-hmm. Because if she's interested, she's going to make plans to go out with him and not do whatever she's going to do on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's really what you need to do about anything that you want to accomplish. That's the communication. See, okay, so you don't want to do this? Okay, well, let's not do it then. No, it's not that. It's that. Well, then what is it?
Right. But I mean, and just doing that too, it's like you find out where somebody is, you open the door for the communication to happen.
Well, you're going to. It's an exchange of information.
Right.
So you're exchanging. They say, well, I don't know whether I can, whether I have permission to do that or not. You say, okay, well, then what? Maybe you don't. I guess you can't do it then. Well, no, I can do it.
Exactly. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like one of the best closing deals, closing strategies for a sale. Somebody argues about the sale. You say, well, then you don't want it. It's okay. I'm just trying to help you out with this. Well, no, I didn't say that. Well, okay, then what did you say? What are you saying then? You going to spend the money for it or not?
Right. Well, I mean, I have somebody else interested in this, so I'm going to go talk to them.
I don't have anybody else interested in it, but I want to find out whether you're interested or not. That's what I'm going to try to find out. So tell me the truth about it. Tell me how it actually is. You know, are we going to do something here or are we not?
Right.
Okay. Well, I have to think about it. Well, then you're not going to do it. You're going to think about it, right?
Yeah. See that? Yeah. Oh man. It's that place where, for whatever reason, somebody's hesitant, or I just find this interesting. One, like I said, like from experience and realizing, well, no, wait, no, that's not the reality I want to create here.
Right.
You know, but making that adjustment like immediately. Yeah, and it's just, I think so many. Well, I mean, I wasn't aware of that thought for most of my life, really.
Okay.
Right. And for whatever reason. And I think it's something that just that particular thinking about this and what you're doing in your everyday and at work or with family or wherever, are you moving towards, or are you moving away?
Okay. Here's the thing. Here's where people, I think, get kind of waylaid, if you will. People think they can do things all by themselves by force of will. Okay,
Yeah.
it's really a quite common misconception.
Yeah.
Okay, but think about anything you're going to do by yourself. I'm going to play music by myself. I'm going to pick up my guitar and I'm going to go down to the street and I'm going to play it just being by myself. Cool. Who's listening? Who's in agreement for you to be there doing that by yourself? Well, I'm going to paint by myself. Okay. You can paint by yourself. Okay. Where are you going to paint? In my daddy's garage.
He's letting you do that, right?
Yeah. There you go. I'm going to grow a garden all by yourself. Yep, I am. Where'd you get the seeds? What are you going to do with that? Are you going to eat all that food yourself? Well, no, I'm going to.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing can be done without agreement. Okay, nothing. So if you're going to do something, the reason why you're going to do it is so that you can make something real. That's the whole point of doing something, is to make that thing real. And so if I think about it from that perspective, and I say, okay, again, this is for a catalytic idea for you, okay? If I think about it from the standpoint that doing must in fact be more than self, okay, there's very few things I can do that's not more than self. Masturbation's one. I can do that by myself, but it doesn't create a damn thing.
It does not.
No, but it feels good. Okay, I agree. I'll give you that. But it doesn't make anything real.
No.
It's just you and you.
Feeling good for a minute, a second. Whatever.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's not the same idea as making love, for instance. That's a different concept. Okay. because it's more than self. Okay.
Right.
That's the same thing is true for anything at all that people do.
Mhm.
Anything. If you have a store, you don't have the store by yourself.
Nope.
You don't have you're not a mechanic by yourself. I only work for myself. Okay, that's cool. Who do you work for? Those people have to agree with you to pay you. Yeah. Well, they have. See, that's the thing. Everything requires more than self. Everything. So when I think about that as being a more than self concept, greater than self concept, then I think about, okay, what is it that the Spirit is actually trying to accomplish? It's trying to make reality.
Right.
It's trying to forge reality. So that's the reason why we talk about this as being the business of forging agreement. Because what's happening is that we are always forging agreement. Always. If we're having a conversation with somebody, if we're not just talking about crap, well, did you see does that girl have a mirror in her house? I don't think she does. Look at that crap she's wearing. Oh my God.
It's funny.
Well, that may be not an agreement that a reality you're trying to make anywhere. But the thing is that it's like masturbation, nothing much gets accomplished, right? So the idea that we're talking about here is that do is a spiritual concept which requires that more than self is involved. You can't do something by yourself, really.
No.
Because to do something in this context, at least, requires that you're making something real.
Right. So it doesn't anything people do, getting, I don't know, I think like getting a job. I remember I was actually my daughter, I think it was her first big job, and I don't remember exactly what she said, but she had decided that she was going to do this, and she did this. It's like, yeah, but wait a minute. There was agreement, even getting her to her interview.
Right.
There was a whole lot that happened so that she could actually get that job. So I mean that's one of those things that I just I find really interesting, because I think everybody does it at some point.
Yeah, I think we all do that at some point.
Yep.
We think that we're doing it all by ourselves. Yeah. And the reality is we can't. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Anything that's done requires agreement. Okay. And so to do something is to seek that agreement.
Yep.
And to do something requires a communication of information or an exchange of information between metaprogramming entities.
Yeah.
That's what funds something being done. And that, whether we like it or not, is a spiritual concept. It's more than self.
Right. And it's a practical application.
Absolutely. So, again, like in harmony, if you can't really argue about the practicality of agreement. Yeah. You can argue that you don't need no stinking agreement. You can argue that, but it's not true. You do. Everybody needs agreement. Mm-hmm. That's how we get things done. That's how we get paid. That's how we have value in the society. Okay. Yeah. We have a specific function that we do.
Yes, and that's for another session.
That is for another session.
Actually, the next session.
Yes, it is.
A little teaser.
Okay. So what else you got? Anything?
I think we wrapped that up.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else you want to?
No, not really.
It's a good place.
There's lots and lots of things we can talk about with due function, but let's just pause it right here. We'll come back to this at another later.
Right. So actually, I think we're going to do another session.
Yeah, we'll come
Maybe.
back to and relate these ideas better than
Yeah.
what we've related. At this point, what we're doing, all we're really doing is going through and giving you each of the functions. So far, we've talked about B1 function, we've talked about harmony function, we've talked about do function. There are still another 5 more that we have to cover. And then we can come back and show you how those 5 actually go together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So that is all for this session. Thanks everyone for watching. We really appreciate it. And remember to hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon to turn on notifications. Basically what that does is lets you know when we have our next episode out. Also, check out the workshop links and all our resources are down below. And we'd love to hear from you also. So please like, comment, and share the video. So friends, family, coworkers, everybody can, get to see this. And so that's it, guys. See you next time.
Adios, folks.